This is Damon from Of Virtue, and you are listening to the Dan Chan Show.
Cut me open!
So I've got Damon from Of Virtue from Lansing in Michigan. How you doing, my friend? What's the weather like in Michigan at the moment in summer?
It's actually not too bad. It's like high 70s, low 80s.
That means,
So for you,
stop. We don't do Fs and that. We do
I know.
Celsius. I don't know what that means. Is that like
All right.
28, 29?
So it would be
I don't
like
want a maths
20,
lesson.
21, 22.
Oh, really? So it's quite
Yep.
cool then.
It's decent. It's not too bad. It's got a
Oh,
nice little breeze. The sun's out. Feels good.
Nice. Good for you, man. So let's get into it. Now, you're releasing your new album, Omen, which will be out at the end of September, and you've currently released a few tracks leading up to it. How excited are you to be getting this group of tracks out all together?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, man. The excitement level is high because just coming out of the gate of releasing some of the songs that are going to be on the record, it's like some of these are the best songs that have been received by the band. Playing them live and seeing people's reactions, and then them coming up to us and being like, "Hey, this is different. It feels different." And for us, it kind of validates like, "Hey, there's a lot of cool stuff happening." And as much as we love singles, as much as you love kind of like dangling the carrot in front of everybody, it's like I'm still kind of old school where like, I want the whole thing, man. Come on, just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Sure. You're listening from a fan's perspective. That's what we want. We want to hear it in one lump. So do you enjoy the build up of getting an album out, or in the drip feed of the tracks to the reactions? Do you look for the reactions and reviews?
I do. And it's one of those where I know I'm not going to say that I go crazy or I'm like, oh my God, I'm checking for it every day. But it is something where just taking the time to go on YouTube or go on Instagram, TikTok, respond to comments, maybe see what people are saying, see if there's some difference of opinion. Because, there are people that's like, you're only searching for the good or you're only searching for bad. And it's like, no, I want to see what the real conversation is. I want to know, if someone does have a honest, visceral opinion where they're like, man, I don't like this because of this. But then somebody else is like, well, hey, why don't you check out this perspective? That's the kind of discourse that, I still have with my friends, with people that are into the same thing. It's like we get together, we'll show each other music, and somebody's like, oh man, I don't like this. And it's like, are you sure about that? You should check this out. Da 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 da. And it's like to be involved in that conversation at a much higher level, I think, is honestly a privilege. It's an honor. It's a blessing. So it's like,
Of course.
to see what everyone would think about the entire body of work, that's logically the next step.
It's a positive way of seeing it because you can see it from a negative perspective. If you see something you don't want to see and you're trying to hide it, but if you can take the good from it, then that's the best thing. So how was the process of bringing this music to the masses? I read that this has been like 3 years in the making, which obviously must have covered in some COVID and the pandemic, etc., how you handled it in the States. And how have you evolved through all your music over the career? How do you think this has changed you, this new album?
I think this has really, not that we've done it in the past, but this record is kind of like the microcosm of you don't take anything for granted in life. And again, I'm not saying that we did before, but it really is a reminder. The last tour that we did, it's like we hadn't been to, the UK and Europe in 4 years. But there was no guarantee that we were ever going to get back. There were times where we were looking at the schedule or we were talking to management or whatever else, and it's like it wasn't looking too good. So at that point, you just kind of look at the future. You're like, all right, well, if we're going to go down swinging, we're going to do everything that we want to do. We're going to learn from any mistakes that we made in the past. And thankfully, it wasn't like a traditional album cycle or, build up for it where, all right, you're putting this single out, you're going to have 2 years and then you got to start writing this. And it's like, no, we don't know when the world's coming back. We don't know what's going on. So we're just going to treat it like every day is the last. We're going to write the best song. We're going to write the most honest lyrics. We're going to confront things that may be holding us back. There's some traumas there that we've all kind of unloaded into this record that makes it as cathartic as it is. And it's like that kind of honesty is the thing I think that has really changed us. Where, again, not saying that we weren't before, but it's just a whole different level of intimacy that we are exposing and wanting to show and connect with, an audience of some kind.
Well, that perfectly leads me on to asking what themes are running through the tracks. What are you writing about? And as you were born in the blistering, cold, barren fields of Michigan, as you say, how much of that environment creeps into the music and the lyrics?
Oh, every single fabric and fiber of it, because, beautiful Midwest sometimes, but it's, I was talking to somebody else and it's like being able to have a record or music where it's summertime and you can ride with the top down and just bang it out. But then when it comes and it starts snowing and you have the fireplace, windows open, watching 4 feet of snow, but you have that thing that can also set in and kind of create like a sense of security, like a blanket or like a nice warm meal. It's like, I feel like Midwest artists, I don't say kind of not dissimilar to the UK artists, where it's like, it can be gloomy a lot of the times. The weather can be unpredictable.
Yeah.
And we manifest that by being able to adapt to every single setting. We almost have to, because we're not nice all the time, like Southern California or Florida or some of these other places where it's just going to be kumbaya. It's like, it's not, and neither is life.
So what other themes are running through apart from the environment? Are you talking about cathartic tracks to help you through certain times of your life? Is that consistent through all your records, or is it more so now than ever?
More so now than ever. And before it, like some of our older records, they were a little more ethereal. It was kind of like escaping reality in some ways. Our old singer, he definitely painted some very vivid pictures in his storytelling. At least when it's come to us and like myself and Tyler now, it's like personally, like even songs like Sinner or Sober or Cold Blooded, it's like, I used to have a real bad like alcohol problem, drug problem back in the day. And I've been sober for, I think, since 2007.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. But it was one of those things where for the longest time, I almost felt some kind of like shame about it. Like I needed to like hide that part of my life from people in order to move on, until you realize like a lot of people have the same issues or they don't know that they have a problem. So they can't fix it, and they keep compounding it by doing the same things over and over again. And if I can be a person that is here to say, hey man, I cut this out of my life. It's still hard. I have to practice certain things day to day. But at least in my experience, you don't have to do these things. It's like kind of like telling, other people, hey, you don't have to do this. Or it could be a message to like my younger self in a weird way where it's like, hey man, take those things. They already happened. You can't do anything about it, but you can move forward and try to help the next person that is inevitably going to be in that same situation that you used to be in.
You encourage to help people as well through your music. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. It's not even just music. Like music might be the first part, but then it's, hey, we will see people at shows. I'll see people in public that may recognize me or whatever the case may be through, social media, because it is a platform.
Yeah.
And it's like, if music can be the first thing that kind of sparks the connection, but then we can sit there and have a deeper talk, or we don't have to talk about music per se, but we could just talk about each other's lives. And it kind of came through that. That's something, special in its own case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Now, if you don't mind, I want to go back in time a little bit to know a little bit more about the mechanics of the band. How did you guys get together? How did you form? You're also accomplished musicians. Were you friends who were looking, good at what you did, or did you find each other through music?
Through music. So my guitar player, Mike, him and I have been playing in bands for the longest time. We probably have close to, 20 years now of playing music together. And, it's one of those people just genuine, like ride or die, like, hey, we're in this together until the wheels fall off. They haven't quite fallen off yet. So, we just keep that rocking. Tyler, he's also, played in bands with us over the years in Michigan and surrounding areas. Our singer left. We had some tours lined up, and we were like, hey, dude, you want to come with us? He's like, I've never toured before. We're like, we don't really have too many options right now. So you know, it eventually worked out with him. And then our drummer Ryan, we actually met through social media, ironically. He was drumming on Instagram. He wasn't nearly as popular as he is now. So I guess we got lucky in that sense because he liked us and flew him out here a few times. He lives in Calgary, Canada, for
Yeah.
anybody that would like to know. Don't try to find his address. But, you know, just again, the power of the internet and being able to connect with people and being like, hey, we've never met, but we have the connection of music. And then when we actually get face to face, you realize you're more in common than, you know, I would have never thought to have met this guy or person or do this. And it's like, nah, that's kind of the cool thing about it, to where we have this very unique, you know, set of individuals doing what we're doing now.
And what's the scene like in Michigan? You got some great, you know, past artists that have come from such an amazing state like Michigan musically. What's the scene like now on the ground for you guys?
It's evolving, it's changing. So at least in Lansing, COVID definitely kind of decimated a lot of that. A lot of our venues closed down. But thankfully, so my friend Scott Bell, he's a tour manager for the Menzingers. He and my buddy Irving just opened up a new venue called Gray Wall Hall, which is going to act like our new hometown venue.
Right.
So we finally have newer places to bring in some of like the metal artists, some of the rock artists, you know, EDM, pop. You know, Detroit is Detroit Rock City. It's Motown.
Yeah.
It's still the Fillmore. It's the Mecca. I mean, we've gone there a lot more and playing a lot more in those places to, you know, reestablish and, you know, kind of cross over a little bit more, because in some ways, again, because of COVID and everything else, there's been, I don't want to say more limited opportunities, but the ones that are popping up, people are very excited about, people are very hungry to come to these. So for the bands themselves, it's forced all of us to be like, okay, if I'm going to compete with so-and-so or this and that, it's like, you know, you're practicing a lot more. You're working on your stage show. You're getting, you know, top dollar production and sounds and things, but at the price of, you know, probably like a local band ticket, because that's just kind of how we are. It's that iron sharpens iron mentality around here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that leads me to say, you know, you have an international following, and you're building as you release each album. What's happening tour wise off the back of this album?
So right now, currently, we are getting ready in a couple of weeks to head back over. We'll be there with Being as an Ocean and Senna. So we're doing, it's like main Europe, and then some dates in the UK, starting in late August through September. When we do come back home, we have some spot dates in the US, a couple festivals, and we have our album release shows that I was just mentioning. We have one in Detroit and then one in Lansing on October 6th and 7th to celebrate the release of Omen. So we can't be more excited for those. Sure. It's going to be awesome.
And what can we expect from an Of Virtue show? I've never seen you guys live yet. So what can we expect for, you know, an Of Virtue virgin, shall we say?
Oh man. So energy.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Vibes, and honestly, fun. Yeah. Because metal is serious, rock can be serious, but at the same time, we can talk about these things. And the one thing that I take away is that when someone comes up to me and they say, hey, it looks like you're having fun on stage. And I'm like, because I am, because this is my dream. This is our dream. And it could be my worst day. Things could be going wrong at home or anything else. But when you see us on stage, we're going to be reminded by the audience, and the audience, we're going to also let them know it's like what we're doing. It's not given, it's earned. It's earned by people like you giving me and our band a platform. It is you saying, hey, we want to help elevate you because we think that you are a band that stands for something. And that symbiote, like that relationship right there, that's the fabric, that's the fiber. And we want to keep that.
Nice.
All while having a good time, because it's music. It makes you.
Of course, it's fun. Of course. Now, good question. This one. Do you prefer writing in the studio aspect of being in a band, or do you prefer the road and the stage? The energy thing makes me think you're going to say stage.
Uh, it honestly depends, man. It's 50-50 because I pull a lot out of being in the studio. I love to create, and there's nothing better sometimes than like just being in a room with your guys or whoever, and you make something, you make magic, and you can go eat, sit there, everybody's geeked up, you're just jamming. It's a great time. It's a feeling. It's almost kind of like being in a live setting does offer different versions of that, where it's like I can talk to a stranger. There's somebody that I don't know that our only connection is this thing.
Mm.
And that's another form of like a validating point of what you do. But it's hard. Like if someone told me like you could only play live, but you would never be able to go to the studio, it's like, ugh,
Right.
that's hard. Or on the flip side, you're gonna write this sick song, but you're not gonna be able to
I know.
see it fully
Take that
through. It's
magic
like
to a crowd is special.
exactly.
That's special.
So it's hard, man. I can't pick between them.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so you're getting all these streams, plays, accolades, international recognition. Tell me what's next to the band. How do you see things shaping up? It's not a job interview, but what's the next 5 years hold for you?
Man, I hope the next 5 years holds more touring, going to some places that we haven't been before because we've been fortunate to go to a lot, but there's still a lot of places that,
Well, what's on the bucket list?
oh man, Australia for one, that's always been. We were supposed to go to South America in 2020. We weren't able to. Europe has always been great. I've wanted to go to Africa for a very long time as well. And whether it is for travel or if it's for something musically related,
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
South
just
Africa's
anywhere.
got a great scene. I've been to South Africa and it's got a great scene down there, man. So that should be on your list.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, anywhere. I'm putting this out there. If you would like us to come play, hey, we're here.
Get in touch. You know where to get them. Now, tell me one track that sums the band up the best that you think. An alien comes to the planet and says, "Who's this of virtue?" And you press play. What track are you playing?
Oh man, that's a rough one. Because see, this is I don't know if the alien likes. Actually, you know what? I'll probably go with Sinner, to be honest.
Sinner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
because it's so different than the rest of our other stuff, but it's different in the best way possible. Where I was talking about that magic, it was a quick story. I went to New York in 2021 when everything was still closed down. Had a chance to see Times Square completely empty, Manhattan empty, Brooklyn empty, and just kind of walking around and being in my own head for a second because we couldn't, you kind of hit like a creative, like writer's block. Saw my sister, saw some people out there, some friends that kind of reminded me, it's like, hey, look, you're trying too hard on things that like you're trying to update your stuff in the past when it's like you have to let go of that and just kind of start new. So when we got back from that trip, we went to the studio and instead of bringing anything with us, it's just you trusted the bond and the connection and the friendship that you have with your other guys, with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
And when we got there, we just started dinking around, picking up, turning on plugins, picked up a guitar, talking about life because we probably haven't seen each other in a little while. And that song just kind of came out of nowhere. Like it never felt forced. It never felt
Pressure.
rush.
Yeah.
No, it's called, in some ways, might have been walking on eggshells because there's parts where, originally I'm sitting there, I'm like, Tyler, you going to sing more on this? And he goes, I don't need to.
No.
It sounds the way that it does. And I'm like,
sure.
That's weird.
Sure.
But
I know you push for time. I've got a couple more questions I want to get out of you. Have you seen Barbie or Oppenheimer yet?
I've seen neither one.
Come on, man. Come on.
I know. I just got back from tour and I was like, I need like a couple days off. So
I'll let you off. Okay. Who's got best metal? US or Europe?
Oh no. Uh, modern
You're gonna say
Europe.
US?
Like,
Really?
no, no,
You,
I'm not kidding.
really?
Like, when it comes to like, and I'll say like more of like the underground metal, like core, like metalcore, or some of like the subgenre stuff.
Yeah,
I listen to a lot more. I listen to way more worldwide bands than I do ones in the
yeah.
States.
Hmm.
However, when it comes to like like familiarity, like Slipknot or Korn or Disturb, like the OG, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Killswitch Engage,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that like that'll always, yeah, that'll always be right there. But I think right now it might be World Team Two, USA One. Man, I don't know. We're trying
I
to
love it.
get
I love it. I love it.
we're trying to help. We're trying to help get the US back on the map,
I
man.
like it. You're doing a good job. Now, one last thing, what's the message to the fans, old and new? This is your platform.
Message to anybody that hasn't heard of us: thank you for giving us a piece of your time. Only thing that you can expect is honesty. It is vulnerability. It's a good time. It can be a little heavy at some points, but it's going to be 100%. It's raw. It's authentic. And if you have heard of us before, it's more of the same. It's just you're going to have a great time. You're going to have something that you can sink your teeth into. Hopefully, show other people, show your friends. So that way, like I was saying, so I can go to South Africa, so I can go to Brisbane and
Yeah,
visit
yeah,
some of
yeah.
these places, hang out, have a conversation, get a couple drink, get a nice little like bottle of water, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course, of course. Damon, thanks for joining me on the show tonight. Good luck with the release and the shows that follow. Good luck, mate.
Hey, thank you very much for your time, man.